Hello and welcome to Mike's Garage. First things first. First is, if you have not subscribed, please do. And when you subscribe, if you do, when you subscribe, please click on the little notification bell so that you'll be notified every time a new video comes up from us. The other thing I wanted to say is, if you like the video, please click on the little like button, because that's the little thumbs up thing. Then I get more likes, and that's very cool. Anyway, thank you very much. We did all that. So let's move along. Right now, I'm so excited. I can't see straight. I can't talk right. I can't nothing right. So first off, it's about 150 degrees in the garage right now. I'm not complaining. It's just that it's about 150 degrees in the garage right now. But I got my front end back. I got my front end from the frame shop. And I am so impressed with what they were able to do. So although I'm going to restore this whole front end now, I'm going to doll it up. I'm going to manicure it. I'm going to make it look good to me. Before I do that, I wanted to show it off so that I could show all the parts and what we're really dealing with, because I'm sure people have seen all these front ends at bike shows and so on, but how often do you get to see one all disassembled in pieces? And this is the way I got it back. I did show it before I took it in to be straightened. The whole thing needed straightening, which I don't know if it... This is by far, as far as I can see, the strongest front end Harley's ever used is the VL. Now, this is the main fork. This is the main doodah here. And what's so interesting about it is this leg, as it comes down, is all one piece of solid steel. Now, it's tapered and it has a pattern to it. And this is one piece all the way down. It is really, really something. I'm impressed. I've always been impressed with these. And I've always wanted one, and now I have it, and now I get to put it on my new project bike. Anyway, the reason I took it in to be straightened was because both of these legs were out of alignment, as was the front one. Same thing. Now, the front one is tubular, but these front ends were made from VLs. Harley VLs were made from 1930 to 1936. They were big flatheads, 74 and 80 cubic inch, and they were prior to the ULs, which is what we're building. The VLs did not have an oil pump on them. They had a splash oil system. They did have an oil pump. It was in the gas tank, and you would pump that thing up, and it would give your motor an extra shot of oil every once in a while. Till it got to the point that you had too much oil in it, then there was a valve you could open with your foot and drain that oil out on the ground, which was also a good thing because the roads were dirt. So to dump oil on them, just keep the dust down, that wasn't a bad thing. Well, I like the modern stuff with an oil pump, and I think a 1940 Flathead 80 is a nice modern piece of equipment. It's pretty cool. So we're back on the front end again. This is a VL front end. VLs were last made in 1936. They actually made the last VLs at the same time they were making knuckleheads, which were brought out in 1936. Now, what I wanted to show, again, this solid leg, to me, has always been so impressive. And comparing it to what we could call a normal or other kind of Springer, this is all tubular. Now, this is an XA Springer. This was made for World War II in North Africa. It's longer than that VL. It's longer than all of the other Springers. But this is tubular, and the parts are sweated together. You can always tell an XA because it's a couple inches longer in this upper tube here, where this tube slides into it. You can see that it's longer. Okay, that's enough trivia. Let's get back onto this thing. So what I'm going to do, I've had a hard time with myself, which is the toughest arguments I always have, You know, did I want to spend the money and chrome plate this thing? Do I want to spend the money and nickel plate it? Do I want to powder coat it? Do I want to paint it? Jury's still out. Chroming and nickel plating, any kind of plating really seems kind of off the table. I think I'm probably going to paint it myself, which means, now a lot of people have written in and suggested some paints for the frame. What I'm going to do is go see my buddy Billy that works in a paint shop, a real paint store. They sell automotive and motorcycle paints. And Billy is the painter extraordinaire, and I'm going to go see Billy and say, hey, Billy, what kind of paint you got for me to put on this front end? Then we'll see. I don't know what color I'll do it or what I'll do with it. But like I said, jury's still out. Now, moving right along, what I'd like to do is show quickly here how this thing goes together. Now, if you look at it, you can see there's a flat part here on these spring rods. And this is what happens with the early stuff, like a VL only, is that little spring. And when this spring goes in there, it slides down over that. And what that does is it keeps this spring from rattling. Now, when I first got this bike, it had a stock inline Springer on it that my Flathead did. And it was all pretty worn, and of course that inline stock Springer didn't have things like these. What they did on a lot of them is they would bend the spring when after they were made, they would be bent. Maybe they were bent while they were being made, and that would keep them from rattling because there was a load on them by being installed over a straight shaft here. But mine, I wouldn't say it rattled. I kind of looked at it as music. I mean, I'd be running down the road about 70 miles an hour, having a wonderful time. And it's like it was singing to me. It was, I mean, the harmonics would set up and that thing would just sing a little song. I thought it was pretty cool. Anyway, so those are the springs that go on there. And you can see here, let me move it over here. I hope the camera can pick that up without my head in the way. And then these bushings go on here. Now, everything is dirty. Everything's got to be cleaned up a whole bunch. Yeah, see, that's not sliding on like it should. And then all of this. And they make a tool for pulling this all together. I don't know that I'll pull it by the tool. I think I'll probably do it like my old buddy Fred and I used to do. We used to lay it on the lift and cinch it together with a tie down, a ratcheting tie down, and just pull it right together and not bother to buy an expensive tool. But anyway, so when all that goes together, then this is going to go on top. And this is the brass tree we showed in an earlier video. Notice how it just drops on now, just absolutely wonderfully. So that explains how that part goes together. Down at the bottom we have the rockers. And the rockers have bushings in them. Now I'm going to have to take these all apart and see what kind of shape the bushings are in. I suspect I'm going to have to replace the bushings. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see. Looks pretty good. We'll clean them up and see. And those parts are all readily available to replace. And then the rockers go on thusly. Okay, and that's what a complete Springer front end is. It's really not a real complicated piece. This new stem that I had put on is kind of wonderful. The guys were able to do that for me. The VL Springer has a much larger in diameter stem. And unlike the other Springers, it's not pressed in, it's welded. And this whole thing is so hard that anything that has to be done to it, it has to be ground. So I'm really, really pleased with the work they did. And I can't advertise for people at the same time. I'm really pleased with what I got. And I had this done over in Anaheim at Dr. John's Motorcycle Frame Service. So they do very well over there, and there's the proof. Okay, that does it for now. These are other pieces I have that are stuff to fancy it up. Chrome covers here that go over the upper springs. They do make reproductions of these, but I don't think I'll be using them. I'm just happy with the one modification, which is that fork stem. So now we'll be able to use modern Timken tapered roller bearings in here, and it'll make for a really nice solid setup that I'm going to enjoy. Just I want to ride it enough to wear it out, so we're going to try. So in the next video, I'm not sure what we're going to show. It's probably going to be something on this Flathead. We're getting there, though. We're back at it. So until then, I'll see you out on the road.